It's time for this week's Science with Sabrina, presented by Sylvan Learning.
We're in the dog days of summer. It's scorching hot outside and the sun's bright rays can burn you quickly. That's because of ultraviolet radiation. You've probably heard of a way that scientists can measure this. That's called the UV index. Let's talk about the sun's radiation. The harmful rays will be down on you all throughout the day, but typically they peak from around 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can visually see this by looking at your shadow. This is where the shadow rule comes into play. Let's walk through what my shadow looks like on a sunny afternoon. We started at noon. I'm just over 5 feet tall and my shadow appears shorter than me. This means the UV index is high. As the clock turns throughout the afternoon, my shadow grows. Pause it at 6 p.m. My shadow is now visibly taller than me. This means the UV exposure is lower. Now let's get into the science of it. The UV index represents how much damaging UV radiation reaches us, and it's calculated by a big equation. But you don't need to know that. It factors in cloud cover, ozone concentration in the stratosphere, and the sun angle. Now all of this together could be slightly confusing, so let's show you instead. Visible light goes through the atmosphere and reaches Earth's surface. There's UVA, UVB, and UVC rays, but we're most concerned about UVB rays. Clouds and ozone can help block this radiation. The other factor is the sun angle, or the elevation of the rays off the ground. We saw this with the shadow rule. The radiation is lower in the morning as the sun rises, and at night when the sun sets. It's highest when the sun is directly above you. Now the UV index scale goes from 0 to over 11, but anything over 8 is very high to extreme. This is when you need to take extra heat precautions. This includes finding shade, wearing a hat and sunglasses, and lathering on sunscreen over SPF 15. That's it for this week's lesson, learning about science where you live. I'm 5 News meteorologist Sabrina Bates.